Hey guys, it's Billy from FIFTY8 magazine, and thank you for watching this video about how I'm navigating reality during this time of chaos and mass change. In this video, I want to talk about neuroscience, because the study of neurons in the brain has really helped me to discover the power of my mind and what I'm capable of in creating reality. And the thing that's most revealing to me after studying neuroscience is that basically we use only 1 to 2/10 of our brain due to this survival mode of what we are basically conditioned and programmed at our first 7 years of our life. It creates this neuro connection of reality in terms of survival mode. So these programs of fear, of lack, of doubt, of illness, of disease, and basically anything that keeps our energy low underneath the heart has been conditioned into us from birth till we're 7. And this programming is what we then create in our reality and in our environment, because we become unconscious to them for parts of our life while we're growing up and learning how to interact and basically exist and survive in this reality. And so by gaining more knowledge and learning about yourself, your mind, and your brain, and especially neurophysics is so powerful, because then you can start to create new neurons in your mind, which basically create new realities. And if you think of neurons, to simplify, there are billions of neurons in our brain. And so each neuron is like an ingredient to a recipe. And so if you're looking to create a certain reality, there's certain neurons that you need to focus on to then disconnect the old ones and reconnect these new ones to then change your hologram and your reality. And our brain is a powerful projector of a holographic reality based upon the neurons that you focus and you connect to. And most of the time when people want to manifest, especially something really big, there's a change that happens in your brain that's very painful, and it creates emotional pain. But the whole purpose of that emotional pain is because these neurons are disconnecting itself from energy and from life, so they will do everything they can to fight and to make to basically keep itself alive. And that manifestation we experience as emotional pain. And so manifesting is that whole process of creation. Just like giving birth to a child, there's a form of transformation that needs to happen in your mind that creates an emotional change in the body. And because the way that we work as creators is that thoughts are energy, and so when you have a thought, you send that energy to your body, which then creates a feeling, which communicates to your soul, that records it and sends it to your spirit to then project it in reality. And that's the basic summary of this ancient knowledge that it's very general, and it needs to go a little deeper to really fully understand the capability that you have in your mind. But that's the general summary of how we create reality, and why it's so important to create your own thought power in the building of your mind, because there's so many people outside of us and things that want to tell us how to think and feel, but that creates unconscious behavior. And that's what we're all waking up to, is the allowing of this unconscious behavior of, these 7 sins, or these kind of behaviors that are only to feed the chemicals of the body rather than the full spiritual power of the human potential. Because when we live in the first seal of sexuality and basically creation, because that's where it's so powerful, this polarity inside of us in our sexual center, because we need to create, we need to keep life going. And so that's just one spectrum, or the lowest spectrum of energy. And when we basically transcend that, then we become a human. But first we have to learn these animal instincts, and then we become a human as our energy rises up toward the heart. And then once we get to the heart and the upper 3 energy centers, then we become what is known as the human divine, or the divine human, or junior God. Because once that happens, you have energy in your mind, because all knowledge creates energy in your mind, and every energy center is also a center in your mind that opens up and then reveals certain gifts or psychic tools that we all have access to, but we are unaware of it because our energy is so low and our knowledge is so limited. And so the more knowledge that we have gives us more energy to then raise our energy through these centers in the body and in the mind. So then we develop new skills and new psychic powers that are just dormant inside of us. And so this is why I love sharing knowledge, because it also dissolves the ego and the personality the more knowledge you attain, because the personality is basically the belief in duality. You know, the personality always sees something better than the other, or this and that, me versus them, him versus her, good and evil, blah blah blah. And so a good comparison is, you know, when you watch a comedian and you love their personality, it's because they're very in tune with what they like and don't like. And so that personality is what is known as this altered ego, which there is no balance within the individual, because all they see is good versus evil, or what's better and less than. And the whole journey is to go beyond the mind and see in the heart, where you see everything just as is. It is what it is, rather than the personality, which sees things in polarity, and which also creates suffering. And once you get beyond the idea of polarity and duality, you enter a different kind of personality that sees things much more openly and receives more information from a higher point of view. And that's where full transformation begins to happen. And it seems very painful, because new neurons are being connected, which is called neurogenesis. And a lot of the time that's not happening because people aren't having new thoughts. They're not having new beliefs, and everything is basically on a loop because they have the same beliefs and thoughts that they have since they were a child, and there's no change inside of them. So that's why this work is important, because it creates new energy, new thoughts, and new beliefs that are much more unlimited, but they're painful, because your neurons, your brain has to change physically, and that's how that construction or the mechanics of the brain works. And something I've learned from my teacher about that is that, you know, neurons, that the thing that helps in creating new neurons is actually smoke, like nicotine. And everyone believes, you know, smoking is bad for you and all this stuff, but I've never felt that, because whenever I used to have a cigarette and stuff or something like that, it made me feel really good, because I felt my mind being active or more interested in creating when I'm in that kind of state. It's because these neurons need nicotine, which helps to create new neurons in the brain. And that's why when you look at old Hindu gods or ancient teachings like that, and they had incense, is because that smoke helped their aura and their brain to create new realities and new neurons, you know. And so there's a reason why people like to smoke, and storytellers and Native Americans and shamans and stuff like that, is because it helps create new neurons in the brain. But you also need to smoke tobacco that doesn't have a lot of chemicals and is very pure. So every now and then, when I want to create a new reality, I get into that state and have a cigarette and just take time to allow my mind to absorb it, receive it, and then see the new reality shape from the neurons connecting. And that's a very powerful tool. It doesn't mean you have to go smoke cigarettes or have nicotine, but that's just something to think about in terms of creating new neurons, so you can create a new reality for yourself. And so this is a very simple explanation of neurons and neurophysics. I have a full video about the mechanics of the brain and how neurons create reality. And if you'd like to check it out on my Art of Consciousness series, which you'll see right here. So check that out, and learn about your neurons and how that creates reality, and you'll see how powerful your mind really is. And thank you for watching this video, and I hope it added a little bit of knowledge and energy to your day.